As Ezra Bridger tried to leave the Sith Temple of Malachor, the Jedi Padawan was greeted by the intimidating sight of Darth Vader, standing atop of his TIE Advanced Starfighter. After a brief duel, in which Ezra's lightsaber is broken by the Sith apprentice, Vader is about to deal a killing strike when he hears a familiar voice behind him. The Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, stood defiantly, and Vader offered her mercy, unlike with his previous victims, but she refused, and the two duelled near the temple's obelisk. Ahsoka is initially pushed down to the foot of the temple, but recovers to slash Vader's mask before the temple begins to close. Soon the temple is on the verge of collapse, and in a bid to save her master and herself, Ahsoka plunged her lightsabers into the floor, but is saved by Ezra from the clutches of Vader. Now in a realm known as the Worlds Between Worlds, any hope to change the past is stopped by Darth Sidious, and the temple is destroyed, forcing Ahsoka and Ezra to escape. But what if Ahsoka had entered a different portal? What if Ahsoka went back in time to save Anakin? How would Ahsoka stop Anakin's turn to the dark side? As you are going to discover, Ahsoka's knowledge of the past does not mean a certain path to success. Ahsoka and Ezra ran along one of the pathways in the Worlds Between Worlds, as the blue flames of the Emperor's sorcery chased them. The two Force users part ways, with Ezra going back to Lothal, and Ahsoka being guided by her convor Morai. The former Jedi goes on to take many twists and turns through the network of pathways, but eventually finds the one she wanted and leapt through. Waking up from the floor, Ahsoka found herself on board a Republic attack shuttle, remembering where she was. Now she was back to her younger Padawan self, but the memories and abilities still remained. Walking to the front of the ship, the navigational computer beside the clone pilot was directed to the planet of Geonosis. Landing on the surface below, Ahsoka walked down the ramp and collapsed to the ground as she saw Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ahsoka later got up, then saw the hologram of Master Yoda, and remembered what she had meant to tell the Jedi. Later on, after Anakin had accepted Ahsoka as his Padawan, this was the first opportunity for Ahsoka to change the future. As she ensured the safety of Jabba the Hutt's son Rota, Ahsoka and Anakin went back to their ship near the Dune Sea, when Ahsoka sensed something she had not felt when she was a Padawan. The Padawan took a speeder bike against the wishes of Anakin, and crossed several desert dunes, before reaching the remnants of a Tusken Raider camp. As she walked amongst the dried blood, she felt anger, and turned to see Anakin. The Jedi Knight was imbued with the dark side, just like his future self Vader, and Ahsoka knew he had caused the pain to the Tuskens. Going back to their ship, Ahsoka had unlocked a part of Anakin's past that she had not been able to do before, and they silently travel back to Coruscant. As they left their ship, they are greeted by Yoda and Obi-Wan, and it is the Grand Master who wishes to speak to Ahsoka. Inside his quarters, Yoda immediately knew that Ahsoka was from the future, as she was too powerful for a Padawan learner, and she revealed what had happened to the Jedi and Anakin, but not what had happened to Palpatine just yet. Yoda is shocked to hear that the Jedi had been betrayed by the clones, and he realised the Order had been deceived by the Sith over the past 1,000 years. Nonetheless, the Force had provided Ahsoka with another chance, and Yoda would ensure she would not let it go to waste. The Grand Master and the Padawan part ways for now, and Yoda goes to the Jedi Council Tower. The Council share the view of Yoda that they had recently felt a disturbance in the Force, and Yoda uses this to justify the replacement of the attachment rule. The Jedi Council are horrified at first, as this would sacrifice some of the honour that the Jedi had held, but in the hardships of war, Yoda decided it should change until the end of the war. The Grand Master relays the message to Ahsoka, who was conveniently on her way to Padme's apartment, and one of Anakin's many concerns about the Jedi had been stopped. In front of her, Ahsoka knocked on the door to the Senator's apartment, and bowed in respect, leaving Ahsoka amused. How could the Jedi have not sensed what was going on between Anakin and Senator Amidala? Entering the large area, Ahsoka passes on what Yoda had announced, and Anakin breathed a sigh of relief, as Ahsoka sensed a great wave of light from her master. Ahsoka boldly asked Anakin about what had happened on Tatooine, and Ahsoka was concerned that Anakin would fall back into the dark side, but it is Padme who intervenes. The Senate of Naboo reveals Anakin's life as a slave, and the death of his mother causing his burst of anger. Ahsoka cannot help but feel pity for what Anakin would become, but soon, her moment of happiness is ruined by a transmission to Anakin. It was from Chancellor Palpatine. Ahsoka growled at the sight of Palpatine and Anakin's visible delight, and she requested to join him to meet the Supreme Chancellor. Anakin accepts Ahsoka's company, not knowing her true intentions, and entered his office. The Padawan noticed various Sith artifacts in the Chancellor's office, and she was not surprised that the Jedi had failed to notice what was hidden in plain sight. Eventually, they leave the meeting, and Ahsoka asks her master if he had noticed the Dwarty statues before, and he had not, wondering what they were doing in his office. Leaving Anakin to his thoughts, the two Jedi entered the council chamber to receive their next mission, which Ahsoka saw as a chance to deal with General Grievous. With permission from Yoda, Ahsoka is allowed access to her own Y-wing bomber and her own squadron, drawing the fire of the turbo lasers, whilst Anakin's squadron flanked the Venator-class Star Destroyers of Obi-Wan and Admiral Yularen. Unfortunately for Anakin, he has to improvise as usual, as the ion cannon is in its initiation sequence, and Ahsoka has to enter the Malevolence to avoid its exterior fire. Landing in a hangar below, Ahsoka is joined by several members of the 501st Legion, but they are opposed by a battalion of droids. Ahsoka was still adjusting to only having one blade, and vowed to go to Ilum after this adventure to obtain new kyber crystals. Nonetheless, she is able to side through the droids with the clones, until she is met by the clattering form of General Grievous. The droid general saw Ahsoka's lightsaber, and was eager to add it to his vast collection, but he did not know that Ahsoka was not as she seemed. Using her future lightsaber abilities, she asked the clones to go to disable the ion cannon, while she defended from Grievous. The cyborg soon increased the speed of his attacks, and igniting his other two lightsabers, Ahsoka was soon forced to retreat. The Y-wing bomber of Anakin and the Jedi starfighter of Obi-Wan entered the battle, having flown out the range of the ion cannon attack. Anakin is annoyed at Ahsoka for taking such a risk, as he aided Obi-Wan in his attempts to defeat Grievous, and Ahsoka was left to try and destroy the ship. With the use of a crate of detonators, Ahsoka and the clones begin to destroy the dreadnought, and she ends up in the hangar with Grievous, only having two of his lightsabers, but Anakin was on the floor. Ahsoka orders the clone medics to heal her master, while she helped Obi-Wan. Summoning the blade of Anakin to her hand, Ahsoka felt a lot more comfortable with two blades, and Obi-Wan watched in shock as Ahsoka attacked Grievous like a Jedi Master. With the distraction of Ahsoka, Grievous lost one of his blades to Obi-Wan, then his final one to Ahsoka, as his cybernetics lost all of their rhythm. Together, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka plunged their lightsabers into the chest of Grievous, and took the corpse into one of the remaining ships, flying back to Obi-Wan's flagship. Obi-Wan had a lot of suspicions about Ahsoka's immense abilities, both in the Force and lightsaber combat, but those would have to wait, as they received a transmission from the Jedi Council to return to Coruscant, as one of the traps Yoda had set up in the Jedi Temple had been activated. The bandaged Anakin is quick to his feet, but he is in no state for combat, returning to the Halls of Healing to his annoyance, whereas Obi-Wan and Ahsoka discuss the infiltration of the temple with the rest of the Council. The Council deploy the two Jedi, who had just returned, to search for the assailant, leaving the rest of them observing the corpse of Grievous. From the brief report that Obi-Wan had given, it seemed that Ahsoka had dealt most of the damage to the infamous Jedi killer, and the Council looked to Yoda for guidance. The Grand Master says nothing for now, as he realised that the more people knew about Ahsoka's past self, the more likely would she fall into the hands of the Sith. Instead, he spotted something odd on the corpse of Grievous. A small tracking beacon was placed on the skeleton of the cyborg, and Yoda wondered if this was the real General Grievous, or merely a decoy to test Ahsoka's abilities. Yoda soon realised that Obi-Wan and Ahsoka could be walking into the Sith, and bolted out of the room, bundling down the floors of the temple. Approaching the entrance to the holocron vault, Yoda saw the hooded figure of Count Dooku. As Yoda had expected, Dooku was dueling with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, and trying to isolate Ahsoka, testing her abilities. As the Sith apprentice saw his former master, Dooku vanished into the broken wall and into the night sky. Ahsoka was now in danger from the Sith. Obi-Wan demanded to know more about Ahsoka's abilities from Grandmaster Yoda. A Jedi Padawan should not be able to survive an encounter with Dooku. The bandaged Anakin hobbled over from the halls of healing, and is also wondering how Ahsoka was so powerful, and Yoda guides the Jedi to his quarters. The Grand Master and Ahsoka tell the two Jedi about Ahsoka's journey from the future, and Anakin now knows why the Jedi had changed the attachment rule. Ahsoka is unwilling to share what had happened to Anakin, only that the Sith had won, and she was given another chance to change the past. Anakin is confused as to why Ahsoka hasn't made a move for the Sith, but Obi-Wan wants patience, as Ahsoka reveals that the plans of the Sith were rooted into the depths of the Republic. Obi-Wan and Anakin leave to find out whether the Grievous they just killed was the genuine Grievous, whereas Ahsoka goes to find new kyber crystals, using parts for new lightsabers she had recently obtained, and travels alongside Yoda and several younglings. Entering the atmosphere of the icy planet, hidden in the unknown regions, Yoda and Ahsoka sense that something is amiss, but do not realise what it is until they land on the surface. Through the thick layer of snow, Yoda was horrified to see large separatist machines extracting resources from the crystal caves, and he uses the Force to throw them to the side. Above the cave, Count Dooku hovered down to the ground as the kyber crystals are transported away. Yoda makes a move towards them, but from above, a giant separatist gunship obscured his path. Yoda again uses the Force, and pushes the gunship into the path of the horde of kyber crystals. From the collapsing patch of snow, emerged Dooku's new assassin, Asajj Ventress, and Ahsoka knew she could deal with the Night Sister. The Jedi Padawan hides behind a rock and feels the kyber crystals humming in their crate, and summons 2 crystals into her hands. With little time, Ahsoka constructs her new lightsabers, then jumps over the tops of the rocks to duel Ventress. The Dathomirian had been warned by Dooku of the abilities of Ahsoka, but she was still unprepared for the aerial attack, losing both her lightsabers into the snow. Pushing a cargo box into Ahsoka's path, Ventress scampers away as the younglings help to retrieve the large amount of kyber crystals. Yoda then moves a large section of the ice-covered cliff, collapsing onto Dooku, before running back to the ship with the other Jedi. The Grand Master quickly warns the rest of the Council about the large container of kyber crystals heading their way, and as the Jedi return from their adventure, the bottom of the ramp is lined with Jedi Masters, guarding the precious kyber crystals. Little did they know that Palpatine had his eyes on the prize. In his office, he was firstly bemoaning the failure of Dooku to apprehend the potential power to construct a superweapon, but mostly he was concerned about the power of Ahsoka Tano. The Sith Lord thought that Padawan Tano could be a valuable asset, as he aimed to eventually replace Dooku with Anakin Skywalker, but perhaps the Padawan was actually the chosen one. The Sith Lord sought to find the answers to his questions, and asked Dooku to join him in his own adventure. The two Sith meet under the Limerge building in the industrial sector, and take Sidious's H2 executive shuttle to the planet of Korriban, as they try to seek answers from one of their own. The two Sith land in the Red Sands, and slowly trudge to the Valley of the Sith Lords. Sidious tries to lift the covers off of all of the tombs around him, but as the ghosts surround them, Sidious pushes them back in, feeling his soul being gradually removed. Dooku then suggests performing a Sith ritual, and the Master and Apprentice weave their sorcery over a cauldron, but again, the Sith ghosts shudder and deny access to their knowledge. The Sith resort to another one of their plans, and together, they meditate to absorb the dark side energy of the planet. The two Sith are surrounded by the ghosts again, but this time, they imbue the Sith with visions of the future, and Sidious no longer saw the masked figure of Darth Vader that he had seen with Plagueis, while the Padawan Tano dressed in white robes. The Sith recover from the invasion into their minds, and silently walk back to their ship, navigating back to Coruscant. The visions had shown them that the light would be victorious, and Sidious needed a way to get to Ahsoka Tano. He will need to strike the Jedi with another one of his secret weapons, and for that, he needed to go to Geonosis. The Dark Lord of the Sith descended upon the Red Sands, and breached the harsh desert terrain to a secret droid factory, located near the Petronarchy Arena. A Geonosian scientist greeted Sidious, and beckoned him inside, showing him their new project, which was to create a battalion based around the cyborg General Grievous. The first experiment had been a relative success, as it had taken the combined efforts of 3 Jedi to defeat it, and now many more were on their way. Elsewhere, Obi-Wan and Anakin had been tracking the signal from the beacon attached to the corpse of Grievous. As the Jedi descended into the familiar rocky plains of Geonosis, they sensed a dark presence, much darker than what they had felt when they had encountered Dooku. Obi-Wan reports the news to the Council, and they dispatch Luminara Unduli and their own clone legions. The reinforcements quickly arrive, and they close in on the signal when the ground began to shudder. The Jedi and clones take a step back to a taller rock, just in time to avoid the floor collapsing, as rocks spewed in all directions from a large explosion. The Republic forces shield themselves, and after the dust had settled, they are greeted with an entire droid army, and the buzzing of the Geonosian hive army. Watching as a shuttle disappeared from above the factory, the Jedi knew they had stumbled upon a secret Sith activity. The vast scale of the Separatist army was a large obstacle, and the Jedi utilised their low-altitude gunships to fire from the skies and take out the droids. On the ground, the Jedi and clones use as much light as possible to blind the Geonosian hive, then carve their way through them and enter the complex. As Anakin led the way, something felt amiss, and he is projected backwards by a massive blast from within. The Jedi Knight woke up later on, with Obi-Wan standing over him, ordering him to get up and take a look through the ruins. The Jedi find several broken pieces of General Grievous scattered across the area, and the Jedi are worried that Grievous was not the only one of his kind. Their fears are soon realised, as a transmission comes through from the Jedi Council, and it is of the real Grievous, capturing Ahsoka Tano, demanding for the return of the kyber crystals in exchange for a life to be spared. The Jedi want to go straight for Ahsoka, but oddly, it is Anakin who wants to wait. Anakin and the 501st Legion head to Coruscant, whilst Obi-Wan and Master Unduli await a decision from the Jedi Council. Anakin soon arrives at the doorstep of the Jedi Temple, and running inside, he orders his legion to position themselves around the perimeter of the temple, in case the Separatists try to attack, and Anakin went to the missions room. There the Jedi Knight is surrounded by several members of the Council, and sees a slightly different hologram of Ahsoka. The Jedi Padawan is pinned to the floor by the foot of Grievous, and Dooku looked smugly alongside them. However, Anakin was focused upon Ahsoka's hands, which were making gestures towards them, and Yoda deciphers the message to finally reveal to them that Palpatine had to be captured so that the kyber crystals could not be taken. The Jedi look at each other in confusion before it dawned upon them that the kyber crystals were to be used for new lightsabers for the army of cyborgs, and that they needed the blood of Ahsoka. Whilst the kyber crystals are safe, so would Ahsoka, and Yoda allows Anakin to join Obi-Wan, whilst all the Jedi defended the temple from potential intruders. The Jedi Knight entered his starfighter with his faithful droid R2-D2, and the hologram of Obi-Wan appeared, giving the coordinates of Grievous's new flagship to his Padawan learner. Anakin's quick route through the galaxy is matched by his squadron behind him, and they rendezvous inside Obi-Wan's cruiser. The Jedi Master outlines the plan of attack on the Dreadnought, using a similar strategy they had used in destroying the Malevolence, by moving one squadron to draw the fire of the turrets, and another to infiltrate the ship. Only this time, the target would be to rescue Ahsoka. As they swoop through the Separatist fighters, the mission for Ahsoka began. Back on Coruscant, Grandmaster Yoda dispatched Master Windu to keep an eye on Palpatine, when he received a disturbing transmission from the Master of the Order. After searching the Senate building, his office, and the 500 Republica building, Palpatine was nowhere to be found, and Yoda walked outside to search for answers. As he watched the clones patrolling the area, Yoda stared in horror, as he knew where Palpatine had gone. The Jedi Grand Master ran to the temple hangar, and asked one of the nearby Jedi Padawans to relay his position to Master Windu. Yoda hopped into his starship, and with the help of a nearby astromech, he took off into the skies, soon joined by Master Windu, who had rushed over from the centre of the galactic city. Their destination was Kamino, just as Ahsoka had warned them about, and Yoda knew that Palpatine would want to watch the betrayal of their clones from their home. Entering the atmosphere of the storm-laden planet, Yoda and Windu are met by an onslaught of separatist fire, as it was obvious the Sidious had been expecting their arrival. Despite the guidance of the Force, the Jedi soon find themselves beneath the heavy waves, their starfighters lost forever, and they swim towards one of the stilts of the clone complex, finding sparks emitting from above. The Jedi look for its source, and see Darth Sidious swiping his lightsabers on the platform, whilst cackling in their direction. The Jedi are stuck on the low ground, and they have to find a way up. Windu leapt onto a passing single droid aerial platform, and sliced the droid's head off, before venturing onto the same level as Sidious, but the Sith Lord had disappeared inside. Windu chased him through until he came across a smaller room, different from the others, and he was blocked by 2 Kaminoans. Eager to get to the Sith Lord, Windu sliced through them both, then surged towards Sidious, who had just activated the hologram of Commander Cody. Windu threw his lightsaber at the holoprojector, smashing it into hundreds of pieces, as Sidious growled in annoyance. The Sith Lord sent a powerful force-lightning attack at Windu before he could summon his lightsaber, but it was blocked by the hands of Grandmaster Yoda. Windu is able to retrieve his lightsaber behind the force deflection of Yoda and lunged at Sidious, who was forced to ignite his blades. The 2 expert duelists fiercely clashed through the area, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake, until Windu was able to disarm the Sith with his Vapad attacks. Pointing his lightsaber at the throat of Palpatine, he promptly thrust the lightsaber through the Sith Lord, combined with an attack from Yoda. Windu and Yoda succeeded in defeating one part of the Sith's plan, and they hoped that the others were having equal success in destroying the Separatists. Across the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker had been guiding his squadron through the fire from Grievous' new dreadnought, when he felt a lightness in the Force. Obi-Wan and Luminara had sensed it too, but their work was not complete. Anakin finds an opening, and along with his clone squadron, finds time away from the turbo lasers to swoop into the hangar, giving the signal to Obi-Wan and Luminara to make their move. The 2 Jedi Masters and their clone battalions engage the droid army, and Obi-Wan finds Anakin prowling the corridors in his search for the captured Ahsoka. Finally, they enter a wide, multi-tiered area and jump down to free Ahsoka from her shackles. The powerful Jedi padawan awoke from her slumber and found her blades on top of a shiny surface. As she collects them, she is forced to immediately ignite them, as her movements had activated several Vulture droids, as well as General Grievous. Ahsoka and Anakin sliced the legs off of the droids, but they were relentless, and they had to find a way to stop their entry. With a combined use of the Force, Ahsoka and Anakin pushed discarded pieces of the Vulture droids right in the way of the entrances, allowing them some time to help Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master, however, did not need their help, as he had sliced off 2 of Grievous' limbs, then force pushed him into the high ceiling. Grievous crumpled onto the floor, and Obi-Wan went for the kill, until he was thrown back by the lightning attack of Dooku. Anakin aggressively slashed at the Sith apprentice, his hate brewing from the capture of Ahsoka, whilst the Padawan continued to block the doorways from incoming droids. As Obi-Wan finally killed the dangerous cyborg, the floor began to shake, as droids were crawling from all directions, until the sound of more lightsabers destroyed them. Yoda and Windu had arrived from their defeat of one Sith Lord from Kamino, and quickly apprehended the apprentice. Dooku was dragged away by the clones, and as the Jedi later reunite on Coruscant, Anakin and Ahsoka stand in front of the Council. There Anakin is made a Jedi Master, and to Ahsoka's surprise, so is she, as the Council knew the Force had chosen her to return from the future to save their order. The new Masters bowed to the Council members, and left the chamber for the apartment of Padme. Ahsoka's path from the future had not been simple, but she had saved her master from the Sith. That is it for What If Ahsoka went back in time to save Anakin. If you enjoyed this What If, please like this video, turn on your notification bell, subscribe to this channel and my other channel What If Films for more What Ifs. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next and how I can improve my videos. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.